This episode is adapted from a clinician-written article on Mentalyc and brought to life in audio for therapists who prefer listening on the go. This piece was written by Angela M. Dole, psychotherapist, and we're really excited to feature their perspective today.
We are. And just for context, if you're new to Mentalyc, it's a clinical intelligence platform that supports therapists with documentation. It's all about making that side of our work more manageable.
Totally. So let's dive in. Then, you know that feeling. You're in a session, maybe it's the third or fourth one with a client, and you can just feel the energy has hit a wall?
I know it so well. It's like you're both sitting in the same chairs in the same room, looking at the same four walls, and the conversation is just circling. You can feel the client is stuck, you feel a little stuck, and the physical environment itself starts to feel, well, confining.
Yes, exactly. Confining is the perfect word. And it's in those moments that I start thinking, what if we could just change the scenery? Literally. Which is why I've become so fascinated with this whole concept of walk and talk therapy.
It's funny you bring that up. I was just thinking about this the other day with a younger client, someone with so much kinetic energy. He's constantly fidgeting, tapping his foot, shifting in his seat. And I had this thought. We are asking so much of him to just sit still. The very act of sitting feels like a barrier to the therapy itself.
That's it. You're asking them to fight their own body just to engage. And for what? Because that's how therapy is supposed to look. The idea of taking that session outside, letting that client move, walk, and talk, it feels like it could unlock something. I mean, the pressure just dissolves when you're not staring at each other face to face in a quiet room.
It really does. The dynamic shifts from that very formal, face-to-face, almost confrontational setup to a more collaborative, side-by-side journey. You're both looking forward in the same direction, navigating the same path. The metaphor is so powerful, but the practical effect is even more so. It can make it so much easier for clients to open up about difficult topics.
Right? It's like the movement itself helps process the emotions. You're not just sitting and stewing in a feeling, you're literally moving through it. I've read that physical movement encourages psychological movement, and it can even speed up breakthroughs. Plus, you get the bonus of endorphins from the exercise. Clients might actually leave the session feeling more energized, not less.
Which is such a paradigm shift from the stereotypical image of leaving therapy feeling completely drained, you know? But, and here comes my cautious side, it's not as simple as just saying, hey, let's go for a walk in the park. The logistics, the ethics, my mind immediately goes there.
Oh, of course. I knew you'd bring us back down to earth, Ben. And you're right, it's a huge consideration. Where do you even begin with planning something like this?
Well, first and foremost, the location. You have to become a bit of a scout. You can't just pick a random trail. You need to think about safety, privacy, accessibility. Is the terrain even? Are there tripping hazards? How crowded is it at the time you be walking? Are there places to sit down if the client gets tired, or if a really heavy emotion comes up and you need to pause?
That's a great point. You can't just stop in the middle of a narrow path with bikers whizzing by. You need a bench, a quiet spot. And what about basic needs? Like, are there restrooms nearby? Water fountains? It's all these little things you take for granted in an office setting.
Exactly. And then there's the weather. What's your contingency plan? You have to have a clear policy that you discuss with the client from day one. If it's raining or too hot or there's a blizzard, depending on where you live, our backup plan is to meet in the office or switch to telehealth. No ambiguity.
That clarity builds so much safety. But okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or I guess the elephant on the trail. Confidentiality. That's the one that gives me the most pause. Our offices are soundproof sanctuaries. A public park is, well, public.
It's the single biggest ethical hurdle, in my opinion. You can choose a quiet trail, you can try to keep your voices down, but you can never, ever guarantee that someone won't overhear a snippet of conversation. Or even more likely, what happens if your client sees their neighbor
or their boss, or their kid's teacher.
Oof, yeah, the cringe is real just thinking about it. The session would be completely derailed. All the trust and vulnerability you've built just evaporates in a moment of panic and awkwardness.
Which is why the informed consent process for walk and talk has to be ironclad. It's not just a piece of paper, it's a deep, ongoing conversation. You have to game this out with the client beforehand. You literally say, okay, let's talk about what we'll do if we see someone you know. My default will be to stop our therapeutic conversation, smile, and let you take the lead. I won't introduce myself as your therapist. We can decide right now how you'd like to introduce me. A friend, a colleague, or we can just nod and keep walking.
Wow, scripting it out like that? That's brilliant. You're co-creating a social plan, a safety plan, so the client feels empowered, not panicked. It puts the control back in their hands.
You have to, because you're also blurring the boundaries of the therapeutic frame. The informal setting can be misinterpreted. You have to be even more vigilant about maintaining your professional role. Just because you're wearing sneakers and walking next to them doesn't mean you're just a buddy. The container is invisible now, so you have to hold its edges even more firm.
That makes so much sense. It's a constant negotiation. Quick pause. If this part of the work feels familiar, especially managing all these new modalities and the documentation that comes with them, Mentalyc can help. Its AI note-taker supports your documentation and clinical judgment while staying fully HIPAA and SOC2 compliant. You can explore it at Mentalyc.com. That's Mentalyc.com.
And picking up on that, Sarah, we also have to be so mindful of who we're offering this to. It is absolutely not for every client. We talked about the fidgety teenager, for whom it could be perfect. But what about a client with severe social anxiety? The idea of being in a public space for therapy could be their worst nightmare.
Oh, completely counterindicated. Or a client with certain phobias, like a fear of dogs or insects. Or someone with physical disabilities or chronic pain, where walking for 50 minutes just isn't feasible. Inclusivity and accessibility have to be at the forefront of our minds. This can't be our only alternative to office-based therapy.
It has to be a thoughtful clinical choice, not just a cool new thing to try. The question must always be, does this modality serve this specific client's therapeutic goals? Is the movement and the connection to nature going to help them with their anxiety, depression, or creative block? Or is it just a novelty?
And it's a choice for the therapist, too. Are you comfortable conducting a session while walking? Can you physically handle walking for several hours a day if you have multiple walk and talk clients? Are you someone who feels grounded outdoors, or does it make you feel scattered?
That's a very fair point. And then, the part that makes every clinician's shoulders tense up, insurance and liability.
Oh, yes, the paperwork. Does my malpractice insurance cover me if a client trips on a tree root and sprains their ankle? That's a real risk that doesn't exist in my office.
It is, and you have to call your insurance provider and find out. You need to get it in writing. Some policies have specific clauses about providing services in public spaces. You also need to consult your state licensing board's regulations. It's so much due diligence.
And what about billing? Do insurance companies even cover it? Do you use the same CPT code for an outdoor session as an in-office one? I've heard it varies wildly from provider to provider. Some are fine with it as long as the service is the same. Others might push back.
Which again goes back to documentation and the informed consent. The consent form has to explicitly mention the potential risks of being outdoors. Uneven terrain, weather, insects, breaches of confidentiality. The client has to understand and accept these risks. It's not just about emotional safety anymore. It's a whole new layer of physical safety and liability.
It's a lot to manage. And honestly, it makes me think about the documentation process after a session like that. I can just picture myself coming back to the office. My shoes are a little muddy. My mind is buzzing with everything that happened on the trail. how do you even begin to capture the richness of that session in a standard progress note?
That is a fantastic question, because the environment itself becomes a therapeutic tool, a character in the room, so to speak. You want to document things like, as we walked by the creek, the client began to talk about the flow of their emotions, or when we reached the scenic overlook, the client had a breakthrough about gaining perspective on their problem. Those details are clinically significant.
They are, but so easy to lose in the time it takes to get back to your desk, open your EHR, and start typing. You're trying to recall the exact turn of phrase, the specific moment the shift happened. It's tough.
This is actually where I see a tool like Mentalyc being incredibly valuable. Imagine finishing a walk and talk session, getting back to your car, and just talking. You can use this AI note taker to create a quick, HIPAA-compliant voice memo for yourself. You just verbally process the whole session while it's fresh. The themes, the interventions, the client's reactions, those environmental details.
Oh, that's a game changer. So you're not relying on your tired brain an hour later. You just do a brain dump of all your clinical thoughts, and it helps structure that into a coherent progress note for you later. You'd capture so much more of the nuance.
Exactly. And it would help with tracking progress over time. The platform can generate session insights, helping you see patterns. Maybe you notice that the client's mood scores are consistently higher after outdoor sessions, or they report more moments of clarity. Having that data to back up your clinical intuition that this modality is working, that's powerful stuff. It proves that therapy works.
And it helps justify the choice to the insurance company, if you ever needed to. You can show a clear clinical rationale and demonstrate progress. It's not just, we went for a walk, it's, we utilized a walk and talk modality to address kinetic energy and facilitate openness, resulting in a measurable decrease in reported anxiety.
Precisely. It professionalizes and legitimizes an innovative approach while also making our lives easier on the back end. Because let's be honest, the biggest barrier to trying new things is often the administrative burden that comes with it.
So true. Okay, so let's bring this home for the clinicians listening who are feeling intrigued, maybe a little overwhelmed, but definitely curious. What's one single practical first step someone could take if they're considering this?
I would say, don't even think about a client yet. Take yourself on a walk. Go to a park or a trail near your office during a time you would normally see clients. Walk a potential route and just notice. Notice the noise level. Notice the privacy or lack thereof. Notice the terrain. Notice where the benches are. Most importantly, notice how you feel. Do you feel present and grounded or distracted and anxious? Experience the logistics and the feeling of it yourself as the therapist before you even think about bringing a client into it.
I love that. Embody it yourself first. Don't just theorize about it, live it for 50 minutes. That's such a grounded, practical starting point. It's been so good to talk this through, Ben. It feels much more manageable when you break it down.
It does. It's a powerful tool, but like any powerful tool, it requires skill, preparation, and a whole lot of thought. It's a testament to how our field is evolving to meet clients where they are, sometimes literally. Then using a tool specifically designed for therapists is so important. Something like Mentalyc's AI note taker can really help you capture the unique details of these non-traditional sessions without it turning into a huge administrative headache after a long day.